we talk about empathetic models of social innovation filling the gaps, very strong word, empathy. There's empathy at the intellectual level, there's empathy at the emotional level, there's empathy at the highest level, the spiritual level. So empathy is a big chasm to cross as far as I'm concerned. But having crossed it, it doesn't mean you're going to act. You may feel the other person's feelings, but you may not act on that. So hopefully today we'll get some examples of true empathy and action. And with that, let's start with the first speaker.
I'll go very briefly over the work that I've done. I've really worked with, for the last 17 years, with children and youth from the low middle class background in urban areas, Delhi basically. The first thing is, what is the expectation from education? So what the parents are really expecting is, what they know is that educated people earn more money and more respect. Whereas from the nation point of view, what we're looking for is informed, empowered, and a caring, compassionate citizenry. Now, there is a, I think, common misconception that A leads to B automatically. There are strong overlaps, but if you do it properly, then the overlaps will come about. Otherwise, they can also be against each other. So here's a design discrepancy. So you ask people, and they say there aren't enough jobs. You ask the industry, they say there aren't enough people. The system rewards rote memorization and penalizes curiosity. There's a tyranny of the syllabus. What's in the syllabus is important, what's outside the syllabus is not important. It also connects to curiosity. Then there's this whole question of the broad exposure. So a broad exposure to a lot of different things in life is very important. But you're so caught up in books, it's also bookish, that real exposures, there's no time for them. And then of course teaching is not seen as a respectful career. So how do you build that? There aren't enough people getting into this. Some of the learnings about learning itself, it's a messy process. And I'm especially now talking about the classical side of it. It is not in anybody's control. And what really happens is that teachers and the happenings to students, children, the environment, and students have a soil and seed analogy. That's the one I make. That's the design discrepancy. It's always seen as imparting, get the content right, get some pedagogy, and just push it on people. And the students are evaluated only on one dimension. The only true evaluation, this is again what I understood, is self-evaluation. If the people get confident that they can understand, they can do something, and the final test is life, not the marks. The role of learning is to draw out full human potential of each person, and what it means is that the understanding is that all human beings are unique, and this is about knowledge being contextual, and we don't recognize that really. Some learners are adaptive, they become fiercely competitive and they do well on utilitarian goals. But in classical ideals, it's unnurtured and they shrivel up in the current context. And the shift of approach that we really, I think, got into in Manzil, and what we think needs to really be scaled up, is from replication to adaptation. Just the last one. That we are always speaking of mainstreaming with the formal school. In education, this word comes in all the time. But really what we want to do is the real mainstreaming, which is with life beyond school. It's not about being happy that a child has been able to go to school. The school is not delivering that. Repetition and replication in life with its infinite variety will only take us so far.
Thank you, Ravi.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Khushru Pocha. India is facing an acute shortage of blood and platelets. When people are imprisoned in farms, blood is drawn from them twice a week and sold in the hospitals. What Indian Blood Donors is trying to do is, we have developed a system which connects voluntary blood donors with patients through IVRS, SMS technology, and through mobile apps. We've been doing this in the last 15 years, and we have almost developed a zero-sum based initiative. This initiative, we have about 55,000 donors registered from all over the country. We serve about 18 to 20,000 requests per annum, and there is no revenue model in it. Today, you will be surprised to know that I am an individual. I have the top companies of the country working with me. They are my partners in saving lives. All these countries, all these organizations are, recently Microsoft India has joined us. They are helping us develop mobile app on the Windows platform. Now we started a helpline which helps patients at the cost, get connected with donors at the cost of a simple SMS. Platelet donors has now moved from India to Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and now we are trying to move all over the world. And this helpline runs at a cost of 2,000 rupees per annum. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. In the 7 minutes that I've been given, one woman will die somewhere in the country, preventable causes, and nothing will be done to save her. That if you want entrepreneurs like me, and I run Chetna, why I started Chetna 33 years back, but the problem is still not solved. So what have I learned in these 33 years? The first lesson I learned is that the voices of women are rarely heard at every level. Most of them don't know about these schemes. 2% in Gujarat know about the nutrition schemes. So are we talking of solutions for women? And we continuously say that we need to be inclusive. Inclusive of whom? I would like to know. So listen to the women's voices, listen to children's voices, what they want. Children give such good solutions. So if you want to include the marginalized women and children, listen to them. Include them in your debates. Design seminars and workshops where they can participate. So empathy is a starting point, but even you should know what they need. So I would really say that Chetna was built like a bridge between the communities and the policymakers. Thank you very much.
इस हॉल में चर्चा की जा रही है, वो 3 बातें इन्होंने अपनी चर्चा में उठाई हैं। संवेदना, सहजता, संवेदना, सरलता। पर ये किसके लिए? ये जो लोकतंत्र है, इस लोकतंत्र में नाम लोकतंत्र का है, बट लोकतंत्र कहीं दिखता नहीं है, केवल ठेकेदार दिखता है। इसलिए दोस्तों, यदि आप सचमुच इस संवाद को कहीं पहुंचाना चाहते हो अनिल, तो समता आपके लिए होनी चाहिए, और समता डेमोक्रेसी के बिना संभव नहीं है। और वो डेमोक्रेसी ऐसे कहने से नहीं होती या संविधान में लिखने से नहीं होती। वो जो नीचे की कम्युनिटी है, जब कम्युनिटी ड्रिवन, डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड विजडम, नॉलेज, उसको रेस्पेक्ट होगा। हमें ऐसी शिक्षा आनी चाहिए जिसमें से हम इस नेचर के साथ दोस्ताना कर सकें, प्रकृति के साथ प्यार कर सकें, मोहब्बत कर सकें, और इस प्रकृति से जितना लेते हैं उतना इसको देना सीखें। इस प्रकृति को वापस देने वाली पढ़ाई हमारी शिक्षा का जब तक हिस्सा नहीं बनेगा, तब तक तुम ये छोटे मोटे 2-4 परिवर्तन करोगे, इनको तुम्हारी ये जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ड्रिवन डेमोक्रेसी है खा जाएगी, और तुम कहीं आगे नहीं बढ़ोगे।
We are in the country in a state of economic disparity, everybody knows, rural, urban. And there is also ecological disparity too. The ecological disparity, when I say, take an example of Himalayas, globally there are earnings from the Himalayas, but sufferings are local. I have come from an organization who work with 2-3 principles. When we work in a village, we strongly believe that definitely ecology and economy should go together. Unfortunately, whole globe, ecology lost, forgotten, and economy is growing. And one idea that we imported, as we have been importing from constitution to the fashion to everything, the growth measure that we decide in this country to gross domestic product, GDP, which is imported from the Europe. Let us be very serious about all those ecosystem components. Without, we cannot survive. Therefore, we really need in this country ecology and economy together. With GDP, let us also raise GEP, that will be a rural growth contributing the whole economy, which presently they are doing too. We are the primary producer. We produce everything. Unfortunately, we are the poorest who produce the forest, the water, everything. And the richest are those who does not even grow a single plant. And its disparity can only be taken care of by, if you really think, another growth measure too in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Joshi.
Now, I heard many speakers here. There is no doubt that you have got to do something for the villages. But I have somewhat difference with them with reference to technology. We are in a technology world and you can't ignore that. That's my basic method. I belong to an organization which is actually called Moving Academy of Medicine and Biomedicine. Basically, we move. We don't stay in Pune. And we have 3-4 programs, of which I'm going to just discuss one, which is focused on scouting and nurturing talent. Now, it is the dream of every talented boy in science to become Einstein. And Einstein said something very interesting, which also impinges on what Ravi said just now. He said, creativity is more important than scholarship. So now, what is creativity and where do we find them? Next slide, please. I can assure you that the proportion of creative minds on the left-hand side, which represent topmost public school, Doon School, whatever you take, and the right-hand side, half-naked school children in the villages is same. Nature is all-inclusive. Then what is the difference? Next one, please. The difference is actually nurturing. As a doctor, I know that physiological functions are distributed in this manner, which is called bell shape, etc. On the right-hand side is really the creative mind or creative pool of this nation. Unfortunately, not only in India, all over the world, there are hardly any programs for creative minds. We have almost 4 million people, adolescent, talented people in rural India, which is the population of New Zealand. This is the talent. And what we decided, we must develop a program by which we can particularly focus on villages. Now, that is where I differ with many people. Certainly, we must have the village technology given, but we must update the village technology. And it is our duty to carry this technology to villages, and that is where we are failing. Next slide, please. So we developed a small program. The point I'm making here is, look at the capability of a village boy. Don't ignore him. That is what I'm suggesting here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Deo. Dr. Kiran Kulkarni.
So it's a social initiative of Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Pune. It started in 2006 and our first chairman was B.G. Deshmukh sir, who was former Cabinet Secretary, Government of India. So I am talking about solid waste management problem of CT. Municipal solid waste is the solid waste which is to be administered by a local urban body. Rapid urbanization, increased consumerism and a proportion to the population of the city are the main features of the problem. Lack of awareness leading to generation of mixed waste is a problem, and the real problem is mixed waste because it makes the processing difficult. There are problems in landfill, scarcity of land, cost of land, those are problems which you also know. High transportation cost is another issue. So what is needed to be done? Janwani has tried to develop a solution which is implementable, and that I am going to present before you, and then the lessons from our experiment. So we presented to Honorable Finance Minister regarding the issue, and the Finance Minister announced a scheme for financial assistance to waste to energy projects in PPP mode. So these are the streams in municipal solid waste. So each stream needs separate treatment. We are concentrating on household waste because it is basically a mixed waste. Next. So most challenging stream is household waste. So mixed waste is difficult to handle and process viably as it fetches less price at recycling stage if not segregated, and economic viability of local processing not yet established. So that is the real challenge, and we are trying to address this challenge. So you are welcome to visit Janwani experiment of zero garbage ward in Pune. We are working in 20 Prabhags right now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I love the concept of zero garbage. Mr. Harish Hande.
I'll tell you, how many of you have heard about a street vendor going out of business? That from tomorrow the street vendor will not come. Right? That process of street vending has replicated, scaled up and democratizing street vendor, right? How many of you have ever heard about State Bank of India giving loan to a street vendor? Will not, right? And street vendors have never gone out of business. Then why did State Bank of India give Kingfisher 8,100 crores? Right? Which is a business model which is sustainable, long-term, survived, replicable, scalable, whatever you talk about, right? That is where I think where the other people lose out, is that we have created a paradigm that is completely different of innovation in our country, that we're not able to reach or even talk that language anymore, or work or be that two. There are two different structures that have been created. I think we need to break that barrier of creating that ecosystem in a way that it reaches out to those people who have been innovating. And there are multiple of these innovations, and the processes have to be replicated, and the multiple of these processes, whether it's a look at the ecosystem. Everybody of us have to leave alone our prejudices. We all have to become anthropologists. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I'm calling this short presentation Social Innovation for Equity, Pakka Social Innovation for Equity. I'll just explain this. I have a foundation called Leela Foundation for Translocal Initiatives. We think appreciation of life is not possible without happiness, and that happiness sustains life, so we are in the pursuit of happiness. And we also think that much unhappiness comes from lack of meaningful connections. We work as a think tank, an action platform, and as a conservation space, because we think it is very important to integrate sites of research, sites of action, and sites of conservation. That's what we are trying to do. So basically, Leela, I would say, is a cultural connection innovation. We think we have to develop a methodology for happiness. We have 4 human faculties that we want to work with. One is dream, second is thought, action, and memory. We are trying to develop, we are calling this methodology Pakka methodology, with these concepts like perception. Second thing is understanding. You need to really analyze and understand what is needed. Collaboration and archiving. I think we should all understand it as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.